Hello! Welcome to another video. It is nearly April, or it is April by the time you're watching this, which means I am here with my March wrap up. I read 6/7. That's how the slicks came in there. Slicks books this month. I'm saying 6/7 because on the day of filming this there is still like pretty much one full day and then one kind of half day left of the month. I was about to say the year. That's gone way too fast if it's of the year. Of the month. And I haven't finished my final book yet. However, I think I will have finished it by tomorrow night because I've only got about 100 or just over 100 pages left. And I intend to finish it before the month is over. So hopefully I will be able to include that one officially in my March wrap up, but it's going in there for now anyway. I feel like I read quite a good selection of books this month. I read a couple of different genres and also read some arcs that I've been wanting to read before the release dates of those books, and also completed my Fictionary TBR for the month. So it was a winning month. And I also read some books that weren't on my Fictionary TBR, maybe? Yeah, I did. I read some books that weren't on my Fictionary TBR as well. So first up, I read V.E. Schwab's Gallant. This was a beautifully fleeting gothic horror. This had really lovely atmospheric moments in it. I'm saying lovely, this was a very dark book, and the lovely atmospheric moments are more in the way that they are written and the way that there is just beauty in these kind of simple yet quite dark moments from V.E. Schwab, and I just thought that this was beautifully written, really lyrically written. It's certainly a slower pacing to some of Schwab's other books, such as the Villains series. I think what Schwab does in their writing is creates so many different types of worlds in each book or each series, but yet still has such a distinct writing style and way of introducing characters and the way that we see these characters develop, and this book certainly fit into that really, really well. I will say that this definitely is more comparable to something like The Near Witch in my opinion, which I actually didn't like The Near Witch as much. That I think was Schwab's first book, I want to say. In this book we're primarily following one character who has lived most of her life in an orphanage for girls until she's called back to Gallant, which is her family home, except nobody knows she's coming, nobody's expecting her, nobody invited her even though she did get a letter inviting her, so it's all a bit mysterious and there's some strange goings on surrounding this invite. You can see that there's two different houses on the cover of this book. It's absolutely beautiful, this edition as well. This is the WATERSTONES edition. And this is because there are two kind of parallel worlds mirroring each other in this book, and this is where the gothic aspect intertwines. So we have this unfolding plot and trying to grasp more of the environment around our character and what kind of a life she's going to have. You just want good things for her because she's had such a difficult start to life, and you just want that to have some kind of relief for her. So this is the story we're being told here, and I just thought it was really nicely done. Certainly slower paced. I think you do have to go into this knowing it is going to be a lot slower and a lot more gothic than action heavy. But if you go into it with that kind of mindset, I feel like you'll definitely get something good out of it if you like those kind of stories. So I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Heaven by Miko Kawakami. This is a translated literary fic, and this follows two characters who are both bullied at school, and through that bullying they form a friendship with each other. This book kind of ripped my heart out in a way. I have experienced bullying myself at school, and I could very much empathise with what the characters were going through and the dilemmas that we see entangle into their lives and how they have to respond to this bullying. We also vaguely see an insight into the bullies and what they're thinking and why they're doing it, which was really interesting to read about. And just generally, I felt like this whole book was really powerful. I read this pretty much over a 24-hour period. It's really not very long, but it just felt like a very intense journey to go on with these characters, and a really great introduction for me into the style of Miko Kawakami's writing, because I also have Breast and Eggs by the same author that I haven't read yet, but will be hopefully reading fairly soon. Watch me not be able to get to it very soon, but I'd like to read it very soon. I really enjoyed this. I liked that we saw the unity between these two characters, and that we saw the kind of questioning of power in this as well, and what kind of power the bullies held and why they had that power and should they have that power. There's a lot of questioning in this book, I would say. Certainly not a light topic, so don't go into this thinking it's going to be like easy breezy, like pretty beautiful literary fiction. This is very much examining things and asking the whys. So I really liked it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Gifts That Bind Us by Caroline O'Donoghue. This is a sequel to These Hidden Gifts, All Our Hidden Gifts. And I didn't enjoy this one as much as I did the first one. I can't obviously tell you too much about this plot, but this follows a group of friends who are involved in this very earthy, very nature-based witchy magic. And this follows on from the events of the first book, and we pretty much pick up like a couple of weeks after I think the events of the first book. I definitely wanted more from this that I didn't quite get. There were certain characters I really wanted to hear more from, and I just didn't get that interaction with them. But I still really enjoyed it, and I still really liked seeing this type of magic. I really like reading about this more earthy, natural type of magic and how it's aided by the things around us and natural remedies and things. I liked that aspect of it, and I enjoyed the setting. There's a shop in this that is a crystal-based shop, magic-based shop, and I really like hearing about that shop because there's a shop that is near me that is similar to that, and I can't help but envisage it being like that shop, so I always enjoy hearing about that shop. The characters are really good fun in this too. There is an LGBTQA plus hate group in this book, and they certainly evoke a lot of anger in me. So I think the author has done a really great job of creating this group in a way that reflects some very horrible views towards an absolutely brilliant community of people, and it was so powerfully done that I just felt really mad at these characters. So it definitely gave emotions off in me, but generally I just felt like it was lacking something, but I can't put my finger on what. So I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. This was so good. I received an ARC of this, so I was able to read it before the release date. So thank you very much to the publishers for sending me through this ARC. And I loved it. It was so good. This is an art heist book. If you are a fan of anything heist-based, anything high stakes, high action, high drama, and you like art, this is everything put into one, and it's just brilliant. We follow a group of 5 students in this book that are tasked with being the people who steal back this art that various different museums have stolen from China. So they have to go into these huge museums, these huge galleries, and basically just steal the art. They are not experts in this. They are students with different special skills, and they are just kind of coming together as this group to do this, not only for payment, but also for knowing that these art pieces are back where they belong. This book was just so brilliant. I absolutely loved the action and the drama. I loved the characters. I love the fact that this had the conversation of where art originally comes from and where the art should be belonging, and that kind of thing, and dysphoria alongside that as well. Just had so many amazing discussions and conversations whilst also just having some really fun interactions with the characters. I love it when we have characters that specialise in certain things, and this certainly did that with the fact that they all brought something different to the heist, so it's no surprise I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. This one was off TBR because I basically had finished my TBR by this point, and I loved this. This is a monster hunting type of book. This kind of flips the stories we normally know because we are following the monster, except the monsters really aren't as bad as we kind of envisage them to be. So this follows one of these monsters who is trying to evade capture by one of the monster hunters, who is also someone she might have had a bit of a romantic interest in. This book is so much more than just initially meets the eye. I would say the blurb really didn't give much away about where the plot goes with this, and that for me was great because it surprised me and it kept me on my toes, kept me guessing, it kept me very entertained. It's very full of action, it's very fun. There was some real funny laugh out loud lines, and I just think it was really good. It was a good YA fantasy. I haven't read much YA fantasy this year, and I think this was a really good one to kind of dip my toe back into that type of books, and I just loved it. It was constantly entertaining and I really enjoyed the characters. I think this is part of a series, so I'm really excited I get more from those characters. I especially want more from one specific character. I'm not going to go into details with who because I don't want to give any kind of indication as to where the story goes, but honestly it's just so much more than you expect it to be, and that's all I'm gonna say. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I was listening to this one as an audiobook, but this one took me pretty much the whole month to read, I would say. This is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. I only finished this one this week, so I was just about getting it in under the end of the month. This is a sci-fi, and I think the prompt on Fictionary for this was a genre I wouldn't normally read because I don't normally lean towards sci-fi all that much. This follows our main character who lives in a world where there are multiple different parallel universes and multiple different versions of different people, and you can only visit that parallel universe if you are dead in that world. So this character can basically go into pretty much all of these worlds because she is dead in a hell of a lot of them. So this follows her adventure and the things that she discovers through doing this. Now for me, I thought this was going to go a lot more into the parallel world side of things and explore how things differ in each of the parallel worlds. I thought we'd see quite a lot of the different parallel worlds because our main character can obviously go to quite a lot of them, and I felt like it just didn't deliver that for me and was a lot more focused on the wrongs and rights of all of this, and also all the different versions of yourself that there are, to the point where listening to this as an audiobook it became a little bit complex because there were multiple different people that were the same versions of themselves but they had different names, and I think not physically reading it was maybe my downfall here because I couldn't connect with who each character was and I was losing track of it a little bit. I just felt like it wasn't necessarily the story I was hoping it would be. It was still really good as an adventure and as a kind of assessment of what is morally right and wrong within this parallel universe, different versions of yourself kind of strange situation we're met with. But I did just feel a tiny bit disappointed by it, unfortunately. So I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. And finally, the book I am still currently reading, but hopefully will have finished by the end of the month, is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This one is Lucy Foley's latest book. I think this is her 3rd thriller novel now. This follows a sister who has gone to stay with her brother in Paris, and when she gets there he is not in his apartment, and there is a series of strange things surrounding his disappearance, including a lot of strange people that live in the apartment that are very clearly hiding things from her. And this is a really fun thriller. This has the suspense, it has the creepy moments, it also kind of feeds you the information so that you're never really bored but you're always getting something that wants you to turn the next page. And in that, I think, is a brilliant trait of a thriller. The chapters are quite short, so you are always wanting to move on to the next chapter to get more of the plot. And I just think that it's very intriguing. Having not finished it yet at the moment, I have no idea where this is heading. I think with this kind of thing, there is always a path that the author wants you to think that the thriller is going down, so you can think you've guessed it, and then normally they will just kind of completely twist it and go the complete other way. So I'm intrigued to see if this does that as well. Again, it's funny, like, reviewing it properly when I haven't finished it, but where I stand at the moment with this much left to go, I think it's really good, and I definitely prefer this to The Hunting Party, which I did not enjoy. The Guest List I did quite like, and I think I do prefer this pretty much because of the atmosphere. Being set in Paris, we get to explore a new location, and we also get to see a kind of glimpse into the luxury of the people that live in this flat block. They're all very wealthy people, they have very large flats, and it's quite cool to read about the kind of interior design they have, the fashion, all of those kind of things. I'm finding that quite fun to read about. I think it's building the atmosphere and kind of creating division between some of the characters as well, which is just contributing to the whole vibe. So my prediction is that this is coming out as a 4 out of 5 stars, unless it does something really radical to disappoint me in the last 100 or so pages. I'm pretty sure I should be safe saying it's a 4 out of 5 stars. That is my March wrap up, 6/7 books. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you haven't yet seen my April TBR video for what I'll be reading next month, or this month now, I'll pop that somewhere up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do give this video a thumbs up, comment down below what you have read in the month of March, subscribe to see more of my face on your feed. Also, if you sign up to my Patreon at any point at the start of this month, you will get access to the full month of April for content, so you get all the live shows, everything will be happening in April you'll have access to because you'll sign up right at the start, so it's a fun place to be. Live shows are available to all tiers. That is linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, keep smiling and stay positive.